Every once in a while, you sometimes ask yourself, should I join a cult or should I join something that says zoom zoom just a couple too many times? A car that is jam-packed with technology, or maybe just a car that's gonna always get the job done. A car that probably shouldn't be modified, but everybody modifies it anyway, versus a car that really never gets modified, but it probably should. I'm Alex at.fi on Instagram, and in today's episode of Opposite Lanes, we're gonna be talking about whether you should own or buy or modify a Mini Cooper S or a MazdaSpeed3. All right, dude. Wheels, tires, suspension. On this episode of Opposite Lanes, we're just comparing how the two cars smell. This smells like there was stuff in here, but then Eric found out that he was gonna have his car filmed, so he took it out. So there's not as much smell, but there's definitely smell. Zoom zoom. It says zoom zoom. It's a zoom zoom. It's a Mazda thing. It's a Mazda thing. This is Eric. This is Eric's 2012 MazdaSpeed3. She's bone stock. I'm gonna move the thigh. And she's on some ESR SR08s, and we're gonna be comparing the two, and here's why. One of the biggest things that happens when people are looking at hot hatches, they start looking around, and a lot of times they think about the Focuses, the Fiestas, a lot of that other stuff. There's not too many people talking about Mazda Speeds anymore. There's not too many people talking about Mini Coopers. And when you're looking at which one you want to buy, both actually have some pretty cool pros and cons, especially if you're looking to get a car that you can modify on a budget that you can drive pretty much all the time, and that's not going to give you too much headache. So this one particularly, practically bone stock. Max said, and I quote, "It's clapped." You better keep that in the video because Eric's going to watch this and he needs to know what you said. 263 horsepower, which is actually pretty nice for a bone stock car. I really enjoy it. Sure, it's front wheel drive, and sure, it's got a little bit of torque steer and stuff like that, but really when it comes down to it, there's a ton of space in this car. Ton of space. You got yourself a 6-speed manual, you got yourself a real happy motor. Everybody that owns a MazdaSpeed3, this is the 2nd gen, so this has the facelift where everything gets a little bit angrier, things just get a little bit more aggressive, they kind of dialed in the car a little bit more, and really, it's about $5,000 less, at least used right now up here in the north. I really like these cars, and there's a lot of people that love MazdaSpeed3s. There's a lot of people that love the Mazda community. One of the biggest pros when you're looking at getting a MazdaSpeed3 is the reliability compared to a Mini Cooper. I almost killed that. Nobody will know. Nobody besides you and me, Max. Except he's gonna put it in the video. Oh boy. The biggest thing here is reliability and parts to fix. So as your cars inevitably break over time, Mazdas really ain't half bad. Now they do break, but the cost isn't terrible, and that's the nice thing about it. Mini Coopers definitely drive a higher premium in terms of reliability, actually, while having, generally speaking, a little bit lower reliability and a higher cost to fix. Now, one of the biggest things when people are talking about with the Mazda is, which one should you get? Which one has better drivability, reliability, modability, all that sort of stuff? And out of the gate, when you're looking at cost, tunability, community for modifications, Mazda's no slouch. Mazda's always had a great community, and these cars can be built to be real freaking quick. I mean real quick, but they're not made anymore. And when a car is not made anymore, it does put you in a little bit of a weird predicament. And that weird predicament is the fact that they are not here anymore. So the parts are gonna get harder to come by. Obviously, they're gonna start breaking. They're not gonna be as easily replaced. Whereas the Mini Cooper, she's still soaring around. She's still doing stuff. Although maybe not as much as they used to when they reintroduced the brand, but not that bad. Greenwood Village condominiums, hello. Bone stock, this should be fine. See, we're good. How's full lock? I haven't been able to do a full lock in a car in like 87 years. Somebody said, compare the Britishness. Mazda loses. Compare the daily drivability. This has a lot of space. The Mazdas always have a good chunk of space. I've always liked it. Most people have always liked it. You have tall ceilings, you have a tall roof line, which is great. These cars make for fantastic college student modifiable cars. They really, really do. But there's also a couple cons to Mazdas. I think the biggest con, maybe not really a con, but something that can turn people off, is the front wheel drive a little bit. And then the second thing is they're no longer supported, they're a little bit older, and most of them have been beaten to a pulp by previous owners. Most people have been really mean to these cars, which is why a lot of times you find them so cheap. But I mean, it's so nice. I mean, it ain't bad. Especially if you're looking for something that's like $10,000 or less. Like, how could you not want this car? So yeah, I really do think that's probably one of the biggest pros to it. It's practically a Subaru that's front wheel drive without much of the tax anymore. I think that if you're an interior snob and you're kind of comparing the two, the Mini Cooper is definitely going to look fancier. It's going to feel fancier. It's going to have more tech. It's going to have more gizmos. It's going to have more of everything. Whereas this is more of like, hey, we made a car, and now that we made a car, we have to figure out what we're going to put in it. Because there's nothing massively desirable about what's inside this car. It's got a normal steering wheel, it's real bubbly, it's got a set-in current fuel economy. It was back before they figured out if they wanted to put in, you know, a TV monitor for you to listen to the Jones brothers, James, whatever people listen to these days. But it definitely has a lot of torque steer for being front wheel drive. No cop. That would have been real. There was a squirrel there. That's sad. And I'm sad. So why would you buy a Mazda Speed over a Mini Cooper S? I think the number one reason is cost of ownership is going to be a little bit cheaper. The overall cost of the car is less. You're getting 263 horsepower out of a 2.3 liter, which is fun. It's definitely enough to get you around. You have high roof lines. You got lots of space. You got space for 4 people. You can drive it all year round. It doesn't look half bad. And you can throw some mods at this bad boy, make 600 wheel, and just spank some Subarus. Not that you're supposed to. In terms of a normal car, this one probably takes the cake. But here's the thing. Most car enthusiasts don't really care about normal. So we're gonna go drive something that's the opposite of normal because that looks like fun. So this is Connor's 2015 Mini Cooper S John Cooper Works edition. There's so much more happening in this car than the Mazda. They're so neat. They're just neat cars. Anyway, let's serious review of the two cars. Drive moderately, replace brake pads. So Connor's doing a great job keeping up to date on the service. Everything in this car is a circle. Shifter, circle. Knobs, circle. This, circle. Everything over here, circle. Steering wheel, also circle. You even got your door handles are circles. There's a lot of circles in this car. Now this is a Mini Cooper S. It's got some bits and pieces done to it. Hold on, I'll tell you what's done to it. All right, it's got a JCW body kit, BCBR coilovers, it's got cold air intake and a tune. It burbles a lot. And then it's on work Emotion T7Rs, which are probably one of my favorite work wheels to to date. This car is more expensive. This car brakes easier. This car doesn't have a place to put my phone. I'm just trying to read everything. 6,500 RPM rev range. Main thing's the speedo, not the tack. 71,000 miles on it. Feels a little tall. Definitely not as big. Okay, Mr. Tough Clutch. All right, let's go. Just kidding, it's not that bad. So we're just gonna give her a quick pull first, just because I feel like we need to know. The world must know. That part's nice. Is it gonna do it again? Nope, too high of a rev range. So, there's a lot more noise, there's a lot more tech, there's a lot more everything. And I don't mean to do this without upsetting anyone. The Mazda Speed feels a little quicker, even with all the mods and all the extra stuff and the fluff and the things. Now, one of the biggest pros, if you're looking to buy a Mini Cooper S and you're like, gosh, I just don't know. Alex keeps making it sound like the Mazda is the way to go. That's not inherently true. The Mini Cooper has a community unlike anything else. And if anybody has owned a Mini or just jumped into the Mini community, you know what I'm talking about. It is substantially large. And even if you're not a part of the Mini Cooper community, if you buy one and then you stop at like a gas station, you will have people come up to talk to you about your Mini. People love this car. People love the design of this car. People love the looks of this car, the history of this car. Everything about this car, people love. And I'm not entirely sure why, but it's just what people enjoy doing. There's been tons of people that have driven these cars, own these cars, celebrities and things like that because they love the way the car looks. Now this is definitely more of a performance-oriented build. The Mazda Speed was practically bone stock. So when you're looking at why it's riding so rough, it probably has to do with the dialed in coilovers and then the aftermarket wheel setup. So everything is very nice in this car. I will say that, why is it telling me to brake? Do I have bad brakes? Connor. Visibility, both cars really good. This one definitely feels further back. I feel like I'm in the middle of the car. Whereas in the Mazda, I obviously felt just right behind the rear wheels. Now, Mini Cooper makes the driving experience really visceral and raw because they have the front axles of the wheel so far in front of the motor and as close to the rear of the back of the car. The wider the wheelbase, the better that's gonna feel. At least with a smaller body like this, you feel like you control the whole car so much better. And it rev matches? Is that what that was? No, it wasn't. It didn't rev match. There's no way it rev matched. I'm gonna try it again. I think I was just getting excited. Now, when I'm driving through a neighborhood, all calm and collected, and it makes bing bang pop noises behind us, it makes me really happy, but it probably doesn't make the neighbors really happy. The styling of a Mini Cooper, I think, takes the cake over a Mazda, personally. I also think, obviously, the sound is intoxicating, and the community in the Minis are huge. Pair that with the styling, pair that with just everything that you get in here, and you get a pretty darn good car. Like, if you look around, everything's nice, leather, good plastics, like it feels quality. And one of the biggest things that I used to talk about, at least in the other Mini Cooper videos, is that they weren't that reliable. Older Mini Coopers, that's very true. Automatics have a tendency to just fail. In the manuals, the clutch just gives out. It's just not very good. You have heating issues, you have cooling issues, you have issues with the fact that people the door handles fall off. You have peeling with paint. You have all sorts of just random piddly stuff with Mini Coopers. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that BMW really kind of didn't know what they were doing too much when they acquired the brand, and they were kind of guessing on a good chunk of it. Since this is a much newer Mini Cooper, they've sorted a lot of that out. Does that make it more reliable than the Mazda? No, it doesn't. Does it beat it in Britishness to the one person that asked? Yes, definitely more British. This British, I feel like I should have, I don't know. I don't know what to say about British people. I've never really met one. I had an Australian girlfriend in middle school who I always thought her accent was British, and then she'd get really mad at me saying that she wasn't British. Apparently that you're not supposed to do that. We didn't work out. I think it definitely is rev matching. I don't know if it is actually. I'm gonna try one more time. I think if you're looking for a car that definitely has more pizzazz, more personality, and it's more in your face, the Mini Cooper S, if you get the JCW kit and stuff like that, the fun little features, is definitely a banging car. But it is not as reliable. It is not as cheap. It's gonna break your heart a couple more times than the MazdaSpeed is. There's no understeer or anything like that, which is super nice. So here, I'm gonna try it again. It does rev match. All right, the mystery has been solved. It definitely feels like a properly good car though. Everything about it feels tight, it's connected, it moves very well. Max, the real reviewer of this series, what do you think?
8 out of 10.
What do you compare Eric's car? What's Eric's rating?
6 out of 10.
A B and a D?
Yeah.
Wow. What happens when this one breaks though? You just go buy that one instead?
Yeah.
It's gonna cost too much to fix this one anyway. Definitely a banger of a car though. But it's a lot like a dog. Really cool to see. Even more fun to hold and play with. And even better to take maybe just a couple pictures for the internet. But at the end of it, you want to give the dog back, because when the dog on your carpet, you're going to remember that it's not all it's cracked up to be. And if you just want a house that's going to stay clean, you're probably going to want a Mazda. But if you're okay with having a dog around every once in a while that loves you, tries to care about you, tries to always be there for you, even though it doesn't really know what it's doing sometimes, and every once in a while it's just gonna let you down, get a Mini Cooper. The Mini Cooper S is a banger of a car. It's fun, it's loud, and you can have a lot of fun with it. It's probably one of the best exhaust notes you can get, even when you don't modify the exhaust at all. It looks sharp, it catches your attention. It is decently spacious, and it's British. It's got a bunch of tech in it that you would have never thought a Mini Cooper would have. All of those things would drive you to want to get a Mini Cooper. But at the end of the day, you're still looking at $5,000 more. You're still looking at probably a couple 2 tree issues that you weren't really planning for. And if you're looking to be on a budget, that's gonna be a problem for you, at least every once in a while. If you find one that's, you know, well maintained, well cared for, and owned by somebody that doesn't go over the speed limit, you might catch yourself a good time. But if you buy this one from Connor, I can tell you from when he drives in, he drives it about as aggressively as possible, which is probably the same case for every Mini Cooper S out there. The MazdaSpeed3, on the other hand, it's a little bit cheaper. It's a little bit better in terms of your pocketbook. And for a car that you're looking to get, if maybe you're in college and you want something that you can tune around a little bit without it breaking your heart, that might be the better guess for you. It all depends. This is the car that as a college student, you probably need to pay for yourself. This car is probably one you'd want to call your mom and dad about after it breaks to see if maybe they could help. Let us know what you want to see us cover on the next episode of Opposite Lanes, and of course, don't forget, if you're looking for wheels, tires, suspension, fitmentindustries.com. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. Let us know what you think about this episode in the comments below, and we will see you later. Peace.